So I'm going to ask you about 5 questions, and it's just like, what would you do, Wani, if someone suddenly gave you $500,000?
I'd be in shock. I would be like, I wouldn't believe it. I would be like, are you for real?
That's the best.
I
Yep.
would,
No
I
strings
honestly,
attached.
once I get over the shock of it, I would be like, okay, I would pray and I would ask universe, God, okay, let me be a good steward of this money.
Mhm.
I wouldn't touch it for 24 hours because I realized part of my habit has been like once I get money, because I had a belief that money was evil, which we've all been taught that. And so if you find
Mhm.
yourself like spending a lot of money right away, quickly when you receive money. So what I do now, every time I get money, I don't do anything with it. I don't touch it for 24 hours, you know? Then once I got the insight, okay, how do I be a good steward of this? Then I would just actually be obedient and follow that. I would definitely hire some financial advisors to help me, allocate it, and and just to see what the business purpose is, things like that. It would definitely have a philanthropic aspect of it to
Mhm.
really. I would want this thing for girls in Africa, particularly girls that are have been sexually abused because in African countries, because that happened to me when I was a young child by the chef in
Mhm.
our home, and so I would want to do something for that. Probably something with bringing sanitary napkins to girls in Africa, because a lot of people realize that things we take for granted here in the United States is so easy. My mom lives. There's a Walmart. I can walk by it here and get plethora of pads and things like that. But
Yeah.
in African countries, girls don't have access to those things like that. It's quite expensive, and so I would want to like do something like that. Um, yeah, that would be a forgiving thing for me, and so definitely want to help women, But I would want to also to invest it, obviously,
Mhm. Yep.
great legacy, and just to do something for the next generation, because I come from a generation of with the work for everything, so just to kind of make it easier for somebody else.
Nice. Okay, so what is one financial or any reality of building your business that rarely gets talked about?
I think it would just be how hard it is at any stage. There's so much in a line of it gets to be easy. I'm like, yeah, it gets to be easy until it's hard until it gets to be easy. But even for being in business for so long, it's still hard.
Yeah.
It's still hard. You know what I mean? It's not. I'm not. It's not. There's ebbs and flows, and I think there's so much of we want to present ourselves as having all together. I think it's just like a woman's thing. And so, and I'm very quite honest about it, but I don't lead with that. I'm not about, putting everything out there, but it's just like, yeah, it's hard, especially like
Yeah.
in the social media where, Instagram, everyone looks, business to be so easy. I'm like, the people are lying to you. Like, they're just lying to you. I'm like, I just like, for almost 20 years, I've been, that's why I all work with our founders, and it's hard. It really,
Yeah.
really is hard. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Now, before you jumped off and into doing all the things that you have done, how did you decide to take the leap to get? Do you have now? Did you get outside capital to do any of this, or was it all bootstrapping?
Everything I've done has been bootstrap. All three companies have been.
Oh my
I have never
gosh.
taken any money. And so what I've done is I've always created a company with the intention to sell them. So
So
meaning
then, wow.
meaning it's never been about me. Like,
Right.
the law practice I can sell it, like, you know what I mean? It's the client list, it's the, you know what I mean? It's the intellectual properties and that I'm not the face of the brand. When information
Mm-hmm.
meets law, it's the templates, it's the bundles, it's all that the IP. The speaking that I do, which is like my French company, is that's called the House of Inspirational Business. That's the trainings, that's the assessments, that's my talks. And so it's never been about. I've always created a business to where like if something happens to me, I could sell it.
Right. So then, how did what fears did you have to overcome when you started doing that?
It was just learning. I've gone through the just like not having the money, and it just
Yeah.
really like okay, doing the best with what does it go? Doing the best with what you got, what you can't, whatever.
Hmm.
What I'm trying to say. So
Yeah.
I've utilized the power of social media. I've utilized storytelling, the fact that I live in Paris, and my story is just quite unique anyway. And I realize what has gotten me what gets me business honestly is not even me posting about legal, it's actually me talking about my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
Uh, it's me being very vocal about, because I'm very candid about my beliefs and where I stand about things, because I think in a lot of years we're very polarized. I'm the rebel in my family in terms of, like, I've broken away from the tribe in terms of, like, my religion, how I vote, and things like that. And so I'm just quite, I'm not here to convince anyone. I'm here to do what I do for me. And it's like, and I think a lot of people, not I think I see the impact of that is like, it gives other people permission to do the same thing as well too. So when I'm sharing, hey, I'm resting right now on the south, because in the summertime in the south of France, and
Mm-hmm.
showing people, like, my motto is like beach by four, meaning like, hey, rest is productive and highly profitable. People follow that, and so I've utilized social media. I've utilized things that just speaking. I've realized, what, when people see me and connect with me, it brings up my revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you have, do you do workshops and so forth through the Paris company?
I do more speaking. I don't do a lot of
Mm-hmm.
workshops, but I do
Okay.
I do a lot of speaking to groups. Like, so for
Right.
example, like, I'm hired on to do, like, I'm doing a workshop today, which is actually to teach people how to file their own trademark application. I'm speaking for the public library in West Palm Beach, and so yeah. But I would love to do more workshops. But I do a lot more speaking on stages as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to smaller groups. But I'm open to
Right.
any of it. Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. Okay, so let's do your business minute.